All right, everyone, thank you and welcome. We appreciate your patience. We are, kind of pinch hitting, as you all likely know. Madalena, her last day in the office with us was this past Monday. So we are, of course, missing her, but trying to move on and keep all the balls in the air until we're able to get a new section chief on board. But I'd like to welcome everyone to our DBE Stakeholder Advisory Committee for the Southeast region. And so that said, we have kind of a robust agenda before us. David Hubbard and I are the co-facilitators. And David, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to share or say.
Just welcome everybody. Happy New Year. And we're looking forward to a real productive start of the year and throughout the year. So thank you.
All right, thank you, David. That said, do we have any new people with us today? Is there anyone joining us for the first or second time? Like to get to know you better?
Good morning, everybody. I am Tom Erdman. I am filling in just for David Wynn, so I probably won't be a regular, but I'm here for the meeting this morning.
All right. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. We appreciate it. I'm looking through the names. Many of them are familiar to me. Benji, how about you?
Oh, yeah.
More familiar. Right. So
Darren Fortney. I don't know if I've seen you on here before, Darren.
Darren.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Sorry, I'm just gonna have to join via phone. But I work for SEH, been with SEH for 26 years, do quite a bit of work with the DOT, and we're actually involved in the mentor-protege relationship right now with RGE, which is very exciting. So I'm happy to join the call here.
Former DOT employee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you.
Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. So that said, we just to kind of give an overview of the agenda, we're going to, of course, talk about Bob and his team will talk about our Southeast projects that are going on, and then we will give a DBE utilization update, and then also labor utilization for the Southeast region, and then of course we'll have our subcommittee breakout towards the end. I'm not sure if we need a whole hour today, but we'll judge that. Each group can kind of let us know what they think, and then after that we'll have someone come back and report out what happened in the subcommittee meetings. And so that said, we will go ahead and have Bob and his team give us our update on the projects in the Southeast region. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, sure. Okay, welcome everybody. Wow, so productive week last week. I attended the WTBA along with some of you folks, and at that meeting, Tondra and her staff did an amazing job at disseminating a lot of great information to I think it was over 600 folks there, contractors, consultants, lots and lots of information on, our program, not just down here in Southeast, but the entire state program, and a lot of some of the great efforts that Tondra and her staff have been doing over the years. I think that information needs to be disseminated to the DBE community, because I kind of looked around and maybe didn't see a lot of DBE firms there, but so I know the Southeast region will be working with Brian Mitchell at the Cream City Conference, correct, Brian? And conference down here in Southeast to talk a little bit about our program, and then we'll also be working with Tondra and at the DBE conference up in is it the Kalahari or Yeah, okay. Later on, so some more great information. So take those opportunities because, like I said, that event had 600 people from across the state, and they got all that great information. And you all should also have that in your back pocket as you talk or plan for WisDOT's program for 24 and 25. So with that, hopefully that's good news to you. I know Madalena sat down with our group, so I'm not quite sure who's going first, but is the I-43, Tom, are you ready? Is that how you guys we're going to talk?
Yeah, I can be ready right away, Bob, with our quick update.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tom Erdman. I'm the DOT project manager for the I-43 projects up in Milwaukee and Ozaukee counties. I'm going to share my screen here real quick just to provide a quick little update to go along with what I'm talking about. So these I-43 projects, I'll just do a real quick kind of construction project update, just real high level view for each of the main projects here. Starting kind of way up north between the Highland Road interchange all the way up to Highway 60 in the Grafton area. The major construction highlights as of lately is we kind of substantially completed the main line portion of the project. So we've decoupled traffic, meaning the northbound traffic is riding on the northbound lanes. The southbound traffic is riding on the new southbound lanes. We will have to come back here in the spring shortly just to finish up some, median, smaller median work like beam guard, eventually finish our final pavement marking and get everybody into 3 lanes of traffic. Also just some minor work up on some of the interchanges there. But otherwise, that project is really kind of wrapping up here. A lot of great success between the contracting staff, including a lot of DBE contractors. So overall, a pretty big success the past few years. Moving just slightly to the south to the Mequon Road project, which directly abuts up to that north end job. This one is kind of just getting underway. So we started just late fall as with kind of some prep work. Right now we have completed all of our temporary widening on the freeway on the main line that is needed. So we're kind of sitting in a position just waiting for the weather to turn. And when we get a little bit warmer, probably 4, 5, 6 weeks-ish, actually look to get going pretty heavy in construction where we will be shifting traffic over on the main line. So everybody will be on the southbound side, and that'll allow us to actually get going with the northbound reconstruction, and that would involve some, ramp closures throughout the year and other typical construction things. And then the south segment, moving a little bit further south, which is between Silver Spring and just past Brown Deer. Again, late last year, had a lot of success. We're able to decouple traffic similarly up to the north as the north end. So the northbound traffic is on new northbound lanes. Southbound traffic is on the existing southbound lanes over the winter. Again, when we get some good weather here in the spring, we will look to shift everybody over. There's a little more monkeying around there, but ultimately traffic will be fully on the northbound side at one point, allow us to reconstruct that southbound side. The other major highlight for this job was the completion of the railroad bridge, which is on the south portion of the job. So we did fully rebuild a new UPRR railroad bridge, successfully did complete that track switch. That is live. It is back on UP's ownership. So right now we're just going through the process of a lot of the demolition of the existing bridge, which we just the other day, we were able to get the last railroad girder down, and now we are working on the abutments and some of the substructure like the piers and eventually the footings, that demolition. And that'll be kind of the next main things. But otherwise, once spring starts, you can expect a lot more heavy construction kind of up and down this corridor as we progress through the next year. And eventually into 2025 to wrap it up. I'd say for these projects, one of the big things that we've been able to have a lot of success at, as you can see with this table, is just our DBE numbers and our commitments that we've had. So, even as far as the design and the construction consultant side, our commitments here, you can see, almost 9% and almost 19% on the construction consultant side. And then actually moving into construction with the contractors, broken out here by each project. Again, a lot of success. So the North End job, 11.5% committed, exceeding our goal of 10%. Again, Mequon Road, almost 9%, exceeding the original goal. So the common trend is that these contractors up here, you can see our goals here on the left and our actual committed in construction exceeding them sometimes by quite a bit every single contract, which is great to see. Great success. I think the contractors are really finding ways to incorporate as many DBE businesses as they can and offer them as much success as they can. And, I like to see it. So overall, just between all these I-43 jobs, I think we've had a lot of success with it. I think they're always looking for more ways to add more success to it. And kind of as these numbers show that, a lot of successful people, a lot of able people are out there working, wanting to work, and getting the job done successfully. And it's great to see from my eyes. That's basically all I have. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Tom, just one comment. It's nice
Yeah.
to see that percent of DBE commitment paid, and it looks like there's a lot of prompt paying going on, which is always good in the DBE program. So, and then you've got even overpaid on that on the design side, 101%. I don't know how you get that, but that's good to see. Down on the Mequon Road piece, the percent of DBE commitment paid is probably lower than most, but maybe that's work to come.
Yeah. So the Mequon Road, as I said, we got started late last fall, and really most of the work that would be performed by the DBEs on contract hasn't had a chance to happen yet.
Okay.
So, but you are right. As far as prompt payment, I haven't had any issues over the past few years between, prime contractors, subcontractors, any issues from DBEs not getting paid promptly or the DOT not paying primes promptly. I haven't had any issues regarding any of that.
Oh, you got all kind of hands going up now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So, Matt Rove.
Hey, Tom, what do you attribute the increase from the original commitment to, or do you have anything specific, or is it just kind of the way the quantities are shaking out, and is there a little more dirt or trucking, or what are you seeing, or did you have change orders, or is it kind of hard to break down?
Well, most of the stuff isn't from change orders. Most of it is, contractors. This is what they come to us at the table at the time of letting with. So we set our goals. And especially here on, say, the South End project or the county line projects, those prime contractors were just very avid about pursuing DBE firms to be incorporated into their work just from the start. And that's not saying anything against some of these other contracts that are still exceeding their goal, but by not as much. I just think as a whole throughout the industry, especially the past, X amount of years, primes, when they're bidding their job, they're seeing the value in bringing DBE firms on. So they're trying to incorporate them as early as possible and give them as much possible work right from the get-go.
Yeah, sorry, I misinterpreted it. I thought you said you were coming in at a little higher than what it was originally committed, but it's just you were referencing the fact that we're just simply coming in over the goal. So, okay, thank you.
All right, Dwayne.
Yep. Thank you, Tandra. Just a comment. Thank you, Tom, for the update overall. And it's really good to see that corridor progressing well along. In addition to the percentages I'll just comment from our firm's perspective. I think on professional services, having responsibility levels grow for people on projects is so much so important and so much appreciated. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dwayne, for that comment. John Anderson?
Thank you. I was just curious to know, once this is very impressive too, I was curious to know, is this document accessible via the DOT website, or will we forward these in the notes somewhere?
I can certainly provide this document that I have. This document here is just something I put together for this presentation. But I can definitely.
Yeah, we can include this with the minutes that Christina will send out. Is that?
That would be fabulous. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you all for doing that. We appreciate it. And thank you, Christina, for getting them out for us. Tim McMurtry.
Hey, thank you, Tandra. Good morning, everyone. Tim McMurtry, NAMAC. Tom, thanks so much for the report. Very encouraging to hear, and hopefully this upward trajectory will continue with increased numbers of DBEs in the mix. Good to hear that the primes are, working, seeing the value that's added. My question in particular was kind of more of an enlightened self-interest situation, though. When you talked about the traffic going to be shifting over to the northbound side, particularly between maybe Silver Spring and Brown Deer, so you guys continue work on the southbound piece there. Do you have any early, prognosis of when the Good Hope exit will open back up traveling southbound, or is that not necessarily, pinpointed just yet?
Good Hope southbound or Good Hope northbound?
Said Good Hope.
I thought your neighborhood.
I'm sorry, northbound.
Sure.
I got my stuff, my directions
Yeah.
mixed up a bit.
Yeah,
That's
so
a-
Good Hope
that's a
northbound is going to be
neighborhood.
the first.
Yeah, the
that's
Good Hope northbound exit. When will that one be open back up?
Yeah,
Is what I
that's gonna
meant
be-
to ask.
Basically the first thing that we're hitting when the weather goes. So there's going to be concrete paving going on, and that's basically the last thing holding us up there. So whenever the weather allows us to do some actual concrete paving, we're going to do that right away and get that ramp opened up. So if weather allows March 1st, I'd probably anticipate maybe 4-ish weeks, to kind of get all the paving done, cure, everything like that. So then it should be opened up by early April, right? If weather doesn't let us get in there until mid-March, put 4 or 5 weeks on after that.
Excellent. That's music to my ears. I've been having to get off on Silver Spring, just wondering when is the Good Hope exit going to open back up again. So thanks for that update. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad we were able to help you with your commute.
Yes.
All right, we will go on to
Many
Sabrina.
thanks.
Silver Spring for the Good Hope is a distance.
That's a fact.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. And I just want to say thank you so much for presenting this information. It looks really good. As a person that's responsible for putting information like this together, I can appreciate it. In looking at the DBEs, would it be possible to get that breakdown, the racial breakdown for white women, African Americans, and the others?
So, Sabrina, we do have a labor presentation that we will have a little bit later. I don't know if it's going to be on all of these projects, but you will be able to see the breakdown at that point.
Okay, so for contractors, these are companies and not labor force numbers, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And so we have broken down Maggie on the agenda, item number 4. She will be looking at some of the Southeast projects and sharing with us some of the labor.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome. All right, Joe, your turn. Joe Davis.
Thanks, Tandra. On the same vein as Sabrina, I'm really focused on DBE utilization, kind of just scrubbing WisDOT's utilization and prime contractors utilization. On these 5 projects, Bob, Tom, if you can send me a listing of the DBEs who are being utilized on these projects, that'd be a good opportunity for me to kind of take a look at which DBEs are being utilized in the relationships they have with primes. Is that possible?
Yeah, I can, for these jobs, I can certainly provide the list of all the DBEs associated with each of the projects. Absolutely.
Okay. And I would assume that the 5 projects that are listed currently right now, it's a mixture of professional services or consultants and also construction, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
up here, kind of up top, between design and construction consultant, those would be more of the professional services. And then anything down here listed with all of these numbers in this bottom table, that would be all the actual contracting staff performing the physical labor and everything on the jobs.
Yeah, that's it. It's good. I'm really interested in, capacity and contractors and utilization. And it'll be interesting for us to take, at least for me to take a look at it, because when I take a look at the I-41 project, this could be a model on actually utilization of DBEs and growing their capacity. So I appreciate that. Whenever you can get it to me sooner rather than later, I don't want to pester you because I know how to pester you, Tom.
Yeah. And NAMAC would be interested in that info as well. If you could send it to me and Tim.
I can include it. I can share it just kind of basically
Yeah,
at the
we'll
second
put
page
it
of this
in minutes
document
as
when I
well.
get it together. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all have it.
Okay.
For the carrier.
Thank you. We're going to pivot to the Jason Roselle and the Zoo North Lake. I just want to tell Joel we've got a complete listing for the zoo interchange of over 100 DB firms that worked on that project, and I think that the ending number is probably close to over $125 million worth of work on that project, and we can certainly share that with you also. So, Jason.
Bob, you always been on the spot, man, so I appreciate that. Unsolicited, but I really do appreciate you offering that up to me, so I'm looking forward to that too.
You bet.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'll just give a little bit of information here about a few projects, but starting with the zoo interchange. And so we've kind of wrapped up the program. We got a little bit of work to accomplish yet in the spring. Some punch list stuff on the Zoo North Leg project, the last project of the program, but just wanted to give you some global numbers here. So on the zoo interchange, as Bob just alluded to, kind of aggregating all the data, all the projects for the program, we kind of had an overall goal of 11%, and we exceeded that just slightly, 11.9. So we had $111 million there of DBE contract dollars, and we actually exceeded that. You can see there we actually paid $123 million to DBE firms throughout the course of the zoo interchange program. And on the Zoo North Lake project, the most recent one, we had a 15% goal. We ended up at 18.4%. So I think I kind of reported that out last time here to the group, that kind of kudos to Michaels Corp and their major subcontractors that they exceeded the goal there by a significant amount. So we're at 29 million, just over 29 million of DBE dollars, and we got a little bit left to pay out there, I think, because part of what we need to do in the spring is some pavement marking work, which is with a DBE firm. So things are in good shape with the zoo, and happy to have that program and project done and open to the traveling public. Wanted to give a little bit of information on a couple other projects that Southeast Freeways, my team, is managing on the backbone program. One of the big projects is our 894 resurfacing project with the Loomis Avenue Bridge. So that's a $61 million project. It started in the fall of last year and will be ongoing throughout 2024, completing this fall. So 8% goal there, and we're right at the 8%, just a little bit above that. And I did want to just give a little bit of information. Some of the major DBE firms working on that project are Hard Rock Sawing, Arbor Green, which is one of our major DBEs here in the Southeast. And then we have a significant amount of trucking on that project. So over $1 million of trucking going on with that project. It's a resurfacing. So base patching and asphalt material being trucked, to the project. So got a good project going on that one. And then I wanted to just give a little bit of info as well on one of our other major Southeast Freeways backbone projects, which is the I-43 Brown to Capitol project. So not part of the program that Tom Erdman just went over, but tied directly kind of into that whole corridor. We're doing a bridge rehab and resurfacing project there as well. So almost a $70 million project with a 10% goal, and we're just above that goal at 10.3%. And again, some of the major DBE firms on that project are Arbor Green and some sawing companies, Concord and Hard Rock. We have MKE iron erectors, so doing, with some of the bridge work there, and barrier wall, iron workers and steel. And then again, a lot of trucking going on in that project as well. So over $2 million of trucking happening on that project. So those are the couple projects that I wanted to highlight today. I did also want to mention that for opportunity coming up here, we have a significant resurfacing project that got advanced in our program. So we have a resurfacing project on I-94 between Highway 83 and 16 that got advanced into our 2024 construction schedule with a February 1st PS&E, and then it'll be an April letting. So that's about a $25 million resurfacing project with some bridge rehabilitation work going on as well. I don't know what that DBE goal is on that project yet, but there'll definitely be some opportunity there for some DBE participation in that project coming up here in the April letting. So that's what I got for today. Any questions?
We have Dwayne Johnson.
Hey, Dwayne.
Hi, Jason. How are you? Thank you for the update.
Doing well. Thank you. Yep.
Good. Actually, my question is not so much on Jason's topic, but just kind of forecasting to the future. Southeast is such an important part of what's going on here, but I see that the environmental document is well along over in Southwest region for the interstate north of Madison. And I-41 up in Northeast is getting close to construction. And then Blotnick Bridge is different animal. It's going to go design, build and stuff. But will we be adding these things to discussion? I think from the contracting side, from the labor side and the professional services, I think all of these are important topics.
Yeah, so that's more on Tundra and as you set up maybe some future, we could certainly include some folks from the Northeast. I think that's a great idea, doing in this discussion. And then, yep.
I'm sorry. We are developing a Northeast Advisory Committee that's similar to this one. Its first meeting will be held early February. I don't recall the exact date. So
the 9th of February.
The 9th of February. Thank you. Thank you, David and Benji.
You're welcome.
And so that meeting will focus on the projects in the Northeast area, especially I-40. Anyone who would like to be a part of that, please let us know. You can send an email to Christina, and we will move forward with that. All right, Bruce.
Yes, thank you, Tundra, and also Jason. I just wanted to chime in that we've have certainly appreciated being a part of the zoo interchange project. Our firm, Span and Associates, has been involved from the original design through the construction, including traffic management of the north leg that's now finishing up. And also, Jason gave kudos to one of our former employees, Branko Juric, who is now with Michaels, and he led the north leg construction for Michaels. So we have our hands in a lot of other areas here, and we've really appreciated being a part of the Zoo Interchange project, working with HNTB and Kapoor, and now Jacobs, then CH2M Hill, and all of the other firms that are on the construction side of the project as well. It's been a great opportunity for us, and we really appreciate it.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So are there any more questions of Jason or Bob? Or Bob, what do we have next? It's in your hands.
I think we're gonna switch over to Jeff Bowen. I think he just has a few things to talk through on maybe on some projects on the east-west.
Yep, thanks, Bob. Jeff Bowen, Southeast Freeways Design Chief. I've reported on my projects in the past. Just wanted to give you folks an update. I'll start with 94 East-West. This is a final design contract. We solicited back in September of 23. Our west leg section has a DBE goal of $500,000. We have not finished negotiating that contract yet, but I've seen what the consultant has put forward, and we will be meeting that goal. Also, our stadium and east leg project for final design has a goal of $4 million. And same with that group. I've seen what they've sent forward, and we will be meeting that goal as well. So that's good news. I-43, we solicited back in September. Once again, this is a design contract. Our section from Bowers Road to Highway 20, there's no goal as part of the contract, but we are seeing about a 6% commitment on DBE on that project, as well as the other section, which is Highway 20 to Highway 83. Again, there was no goal presented, but we are seeing about a 20% commitment on that contract. So all good news from those folks as well. That's what I had today, Bob.
Yeah, thank you. And on the west leg, leading that up is Andy Kowski, and he's been part of this discussion for a while, and I think that Andy, thank you for, if you want to say a few words on your commitment on that west leg. It was terrific as far as bringing in opportunities. Yep.
Yeah, and right now, Jeff's right. We have to negotiate the contract, but we're planning to be well over the $500,000 goal. We have, and this is for the final design. We have got 7 firms, 7 DBE firms, RGE, Bloom, Span, Foy, Gestra, Singh, and Prism, and the zoo is a good success, and we had a big DBE goal on that. A lot of the firms that worked on the zoo were able to use that as a springboard. A couple of them actually graduated from the DBE program, so hoping to emulate that success with I-94 East-West, and thankful that the firms joined our team and will be a part of it.
Great. Thank you. Is there anybody else from Southeast? Otherwise, I'm going to maybe ask Mark Zapp to talk a little bit about Valete Street and the success you've had with consultant inspection there on Valete Street.
Yeah, sure. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, we had Mark Zapp, local program project manager, Southeast region. Yeah, we had a nice project in the city of Milwaukee this summer. Valete Street reconstruction from 27th to North 12th Street. We had a good contractor. We also had a good consultant team, Span and Associates. did a very nice job, brought that job to completion successfully. Was very happy with the way SPAN managed the project. So I would be very, very happy to have them involved on another major project again. We worked together a little bit on some smaller projects. Didn't have any doubts about them, but they really came through and did a nice job getting this one completed. So tip of the cap to the team at SPAN.
All right. Thank you.
You bet. Go ahead, Bruce.
Yes, thank you, Mark, for giving us that opportunity. We had been trying for several years. We felt we were capable to take on a more significant complexity type of project for the DOT, and Mark gave us that opportunity, and I'm glad that Sam, I had every confidence in Sam that he was going to deliver it, and we're very pleased that it was at or above your expectations. So thank you for this opportunity, and we look forward to the upcoming one that we have with Highway 20 in Racine County. That one's going to be one that we expect as well. We're going to do well on and continue to move in this increasing direction of providing a more prime consultant services to the DOT Southeast and Northeast and Southwest regions.
Super.
Great. Thank you, Bruce, for your work. We appreciate it. Dr. Anthony?
Yeah. Hey, so this is really a good field to start the year off with such high achievement and high expectations. And really, when you see the DBE program working well with the project development side, it's just a great thing. Really, everybody who reported today really reported positive progress in terms of DBE participation. So that feels good. And especially to hear the feedback about companies like SPAN who do get an opportunity on the jobs and really, knock it out the park. And then some of the other firms that have done enough work that they've graduated from the DBE program. So all those are good signs that we're moving in the right direction. So really feeling good about kind of where we're headed. One thing that I think as we have future meetings, and I think Dr. Robbins brought it up, was the DBE racial demographics. So at some point, too, let's not leave those out of the mix to really see, how much is going to a woman-owned firm, how much is going to some of the African-American-owned firms. And last year, I think those were some of the challenges that we had, is that the program, although we were super achieving the DBE goal, we have to look at, how we're achieving it. And so, I'm sure in future meetings, we'll have more deeper dives to kind of see how we're doing with those as well. So really good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And before you speak, I just want to address Dr. Anthony. We do intend to show some of the DBE demographics today. It won't be a deep dive, but just to kind of show you the charts and the progress that we've made for the last 5-6 years. All right.
Sorry, I see Tom Erdman is still on, so I just wanted to, I was remiss in not thanking Tom as well. Sam was assigned to be traffic lead on the north leg of the 43 project, and Tom did agree to allow us to move Sam from the 43 North traffic management to the Valete Street project. So I do need to be sure to thank Tom for agreeing to allow us to have that opportunity.
Yeah, super. Thank you. Emlyn, can you turn on your camera? I just want to make sure that Emlyn is our deputy director down here in the southeast region. I just wanted folks to I know Tim was sitting next to Emlyn at a outreach that we had with NAMAC, and I just wanted to give Em the opportunity to say hello and as she.
Hello, I'm multitasking today a little bit, but hey, gosh, it's been 24 years then that Ruben Anthony guy hired me at DOT. Wasn't he smart?
Yeah, I was just thinking when he brought you on, I said, she was an intern when I hired her all those years ago.
Yep, feels like
Congratulations.
a
Yeah.
minute ago, but it seems like a long time at the same turn. No, thank you, Bob. Really blessed to be able to work with this group in the deputy director role and getting to know Tandra a little bit. And I think we've got a great team, so appreciate it. And Tom and Mark, excellent job. Really appreciate you jumping on today.
Yeah, and we talked, I began and I talked about the WTBA conference, that big conference with over 600 people, and Matt Grove, kudos to you on putting on the conference, man. Terrific job, great information, and it's really nice, yeah, having Matt be part of this group, because really fills an important role in
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, it's a big production and great event, obviously. It was over 700 actually, but yeah, I get a lot of credit for it. The reality is there's a lot of people involved and including a lot of WisDOT speakers and obviously our members' participation and things. So thank you for the credit. Appreciate it.
You bet. All right, Tandra, thank you. We took enough of your time. Sorry.
No, it was great information, so we certainly appreciate it. But we will move further into the agenda. And at this time, we will have Benji Hyatt give us our DBE utilization update. And go for it, Benji.
Okay, hello, everyone. So the first part of this, I'm going to echo some of the presentation that was made on the here. Okay, I'm hoping y'all can see this. All right, so
Is Benji speaking?
She's on mute.
I believe she's on mute.
oh, well,
Right, I'm here, so I didn't even realize. In the same room. All right, apologies for that.
okay, let's see, now you got it.
Now you're on. Yeah, she's still on mute.
She's not talking. We're trying to get rid of the echo.
I'm gonna leave.
Okay, so one of you have to turn off your.
Yeah, no, you just left the whole thing.
Okay. I'll come back.
Okay. So, here we go. All right, I'm back. Can everyone hear me and can everyone see this?
You're good right now.
Yes.
So, okay, so okay, I'm looking for confirmation. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but you went to the second
Yes.
slide.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, we're gonna start this over. And as I started saying prior, what I'm gonna show you today is building off of and built from the information that Southeast provided for us. So one of the first ones we're gonna look at is the Highway 20 project. I believe that's all wrapped up. So we had, we did not have a goal on this. We had 15.12% in total consulting for DBE. We had a nice, kind of a little, kind of almost even split between minority and non-minority. Year to date for this project, the DBE goal was set at 15%. It achieved 34.57% with just over $3 million. And here you can see the breakdown of, the amount. This is by money. And that's why the Native American with one company had the biggest piece of this. There were 5 Black American, 4 Hispanic American, 6 non-minority, and 1 Native American. And here is the breakdown of the type of work that was being conducted by these firms. And you can see here we have if they're male or female owned and their ethnicity. And you can just drop this down so you can kind of figure out what the actual dollar amount was. So moving into the zoo, here again is the consulting. Again, there was no DBE goal on this. It came in at just under 11%. With my two non-minority and one minority company providing services. And for the zoo interchange on the construction side, you'll see our number is just a tiny bit different. We're a little bit higher than what Tom showed. So it's not, don't go, oh my God, Benji's got 19 and they only had 18. These numbers are fluid, and because we do not have final numbers in, we're going based on what our commitment is, and he's going off of what payments have gone out. So they will even out and they will jive at the end. But you can see we had a really great goal percentage over the assigned goal. So right now we are coming in at between 18 and 19%. And we have commitments of over $30 million showing. So you can see here we do have a split, a breakdown of what types of companies we're on by ethnic group on this project. We had 5 Native American, 12 Hispanic American, 23 non-minority, 4 Asian Pacific, and we had 10 Black American companies on here. And here again, we give you a breakdown on who owns the company and what type of work they're actually performing on the project. And the last group of slides we have here is for the I-43. We lumped them all together and did not break them out by individual projects like Tom did, which was really great. But we felt that this is a project where there's so many different project IDs, and we just combine them all. So if you took an average of the DBE goal that was set, it averaged out for 10.9%. And right now it's achieving 15.6% throughout this quarter and the projects within the quarter. Again, we do have the breakdown of the different groups that are working on this project. We have the 4 Asian subcontinent Asian American, 60 non-minority, 9 Native American, 95 Hispanic American, 40 Black American, and 12 Asian Pacific. And then, oh, seriously. And then we have the breakdown again by the owner and the type of work and whether they are minority, non-minority, male or female. So that's the end of that presentation. And like I said, we do have, we are correlating really well and running really well with the numbers that are coming from the project team. So I'm going to stop sharing that and I'm going to reshare. And I want to give you guys some information on where we're sitting now for our utilization. Okay, you guys see that? I'm working from one screen. There we go. It's coming up now. All right. So this is our attainment report, and this is through, these numbers were calculated through actually yesterday, as far as we can go. So the DBE attainment report through the January let of this year, modifications that were processed and recorded through 12/18. Modifications will be updated again before the end of this month and will be reflected on the next report. And we do have the consultant figures through December 31st of 23. Current goal right now is 12.42%. So right now, for our overall federal funding and DBE attainment, Our federal funds for both construction and consulting are coming in at right around 326.1 million. Our DBE commitments on the consulting side, and this does not include the 4.5 million, as noted, because they're still in negotiation for those executed contracts, is just under $1 million in neutral participation. For our DBE commitments on our construction side, we have 28,360,678. So our total commitment right now between consultant and construction is 30,266,025. So we are sitting at 9.28% of our goal. And again, we will have additional contract DBE commitment modifications after contract execution. So as I said, for construction, we're coming in right around 29.3 million, and we have just under $1 million for our consulting group. We're anticipating around 895 million in construction federal funds, around 176 million on consultant federal funded projects, and so for a total of just under $1.1 billion. Please note, and this is my disclaimer every time I present this information, that these numbers can and will change on a monthly basis, depending on where we're at and how many commitments have been processed, and how many mods have been processed. So are there any questions on this information?
Benji, thanks for being so transparent with the numbers. Can these presentations be shared with members of the group?
Or a dollar?
You got it.
Yes.
You got it.
Of course,
$1 and
we
$1.
will include, yeah, we will definitely include them in with the minutes and the other information that has been requested.
Thank you.
And we will strike that dollar comment.
I'm kidding.
From the
For
minutes.
everybody who knows me, I would say $4. Give me $1. No, absolutely. We'll make sure all this information is available.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have questions of Benji? Okay, so as promised, I'm going to share, and hopefully we won't have too many mic problems because it converts once I start sharing. Okay, can everyone hear me now? Right, we don't have an echo. Here we
Yes.
go. Awesome. So we have our DBE program participation data from 2017 all the way to 2023. And just kind of want to, and we certainly will share this information with you when the minutes are disseminated. But just a quick, I'm not going to go through each of them. We're kind of running behind on time now. But if you look,
see your slides.
Okay.
Are you
I'm sorry?
sharing your screen?
Yes, you don't see it? Hold on.
No, we don't see your slides.
Okay, hold on.
Now you're in business.
You can see this, you can see the pie charts?
We can see it now, yeah.
Yes, we can
Yes,
see them and we can
excellent.
hear you too.
And I'm gonna get rid of Benji. There we go. All right, so as I was saying, we have data here from way back in 2017 on our DBE program participation. And while I won't go into the weeds of this, I just want to point out, if you look back way in 2017, the participation of for the DBE program for non-minorities was 74%. And so the other 26% was shared amongst all the other ethnic groups. And so you can see the progression, 58%, 62, 61. And of course, always adds up to 100. So whatever the non-minorities are given, it's distributed amongst the ethnic minorities. So, and just want to get to the point of fiscal year 23, our last fiscal year, where we did meet our goal with 14.41% attainment. And with that, we had 45% non-minority, and the other 55% was split amongst all the other ethnic groups. So just kind of wanted to give you a, kind of a brief overview of that. And that attainment for last year, we had $155 million. I think I may have another. Well, we won't necessarily go there, but that's the biggest point I wanted to bring out. Are there any questions?
No, just don't see any questions.
Okay, all right. So again, like I said, we will share this with our minutes, and you can be able to dive deeper into it, and certainly contact us if you have any questions. All right. So that said, we will have Maggie give us, as promised, a labor utilization in the Southeast region. Maggie?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I almost said good afternoon. We're not quite there yet.
Morning.
Here. Can you tell me when everyone can see my screen?
We can see it.
We can see it.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to start off by sharing the labor data report or data report information for the period of September 31st through December 31st, and that is the final quarter of 2023. We did make updates. These updates were already made in the last meeting, but they just show the comparison from the previous period to the current reporting period. And I do have four projects to report on today. I'll be starting with the Zoo interchange, and that's US Highway 45 to Swan Boulevard. So in the last reporting period, there were 1,431 employees, and then there's a raise by 46 employees, and we're standing at 1,477 employees total for that project. There was a small raise in the minority amount of employees, so we stand at 428, and with a percentage of 28 still remaining. There is the demographic breakdown for these projects listed below. I won't highlight specifically on the breakdowns, but I will share this information to the entire group. If you move down to the total number of female workers on this project, there was a small increase by 3 female employees, and that still stands at 2%. And we remained with 3 HCST graduates on this project, but an increase from 170.25 hours to 174.25 hours. I'll make sure that I answer questions if there are any questions at the end of reporting each project, if that's okay with everyone. At the end of reporting all projects, if that's okay with everyone. But if you have a question in between, Tandra, if you wouldn't mind telling me if anyone's hands up, I'm not able to see with the screen sharing.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. So the next project is I-43, the North-South Freeway from Brown Street to Capitol Drive. And in the previous reporting period, there were 466 employees, and there has been an increase by 128 employees, leaving us at a standing of 594 total employees for this project. And we do have a total number of minorities for this project, which is 267, with an increase of 47 minority employees. And the percentage is at 44%. Of course, it's going down as the numbers increase. For this project, we have a total number of female employees, 23, and that is an increase of 9 employees from the previous reporting period. And we have 4 additional HCST graduates and a large increase in the total number of work hours for the HCST graduates. That's an increase of 952.50 hours. Our third project here is the State Trunk Highway 50, which is in Kenosha and Pleasant Prairie. It's also Highway 50, or also called Highway 50 for short. There has been an increase in 13 employees for the total number of employees. That leaves us standing at 1,158 employees. A very small increase in the total number of minority employees from 482 to 486, leaving us at 41%. And we have 36 total female employees with a small increase of 1 employee. The HCST graduates remain at 6 HCST graduates working on this project with a small increase in the total work hours from 1,018.75 to 1,096. And there is State Trunk Highway 20, Washington Ave, which is in Racine County. There is no increase in the total number of employees for this project, but there has been a small increase in the total number of minorities by 1 employee. The total number of female employees increased by 1 as well, from 13 to 14, remaining at 3%. And the HCST graduates, the amount of HCST graduates has remained the same, and the amount of hours worked has remained the same for the HCST graduates. We do have another project that's running currently, and that is the State Trunk Highway 59 National Avenue project, but there is not yet any data to report. Have any questions? Thank you, everyone. Oh, I'm sorry, Tandra.
No, I was going to say, looks like no questions.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Maggie.
You're welcome. I'll make sure I share the report.
Sure, thank you. We appreciate it. So, time has come for us to separate out into our committees. We're running a few minutes behind, so I think we should still come back at 11:45 for our full group closing. And so we have, today we have the business committee, which I know Bruce and Dwayne, they typically are the co-facilitators, but Dr. Anthony has graciously agreed to facilitate that group today. And they will be discussing kind of the work plan going forward, and also kind of trying to DBE temperature check so that we can, be on the pulse of what's going on with our DBEs and be responsive, all right? So I know Christina's gearing up to put us in those groups. And then the other group is the Labor Committee. And Maggie Gibbons will be going through that one and working through the goals that have been discussed previously and getting updates and, deciding how to move forward. So how are we doing, Christina?
Good. I'm gonna hit the button right now. So
okay. If anybody has any questions, let us know.
Okay.
Okay, we're starting to disappear. So
yeah. Okay. It must be going too slowly.
All right, I'm going to assume everybody who wants to be with us is here already. So good morning. And again, this is the first meeting of the new year. And as Tandra laid out for you, we typically have an opportunity to have a breakout, one for labor and one for DBE development. And in these meetings, it's an opportunity for us to have a conversation and dig deeper. And so at this meeting today, we want to have a conversation with you about, what we ought to be doing coming into this new year. These stakeholder meetings have been an opportunity for the department to share progress, to share challenges. And then this is the time, for us to get information back. I think these stakeholder meetings have really become a nice vehicle for us to stay connected to the work of the department and the DBE office, but also for them to hear from you about, how programs need to be changed and how we can keep the DBE industry healthy, and also to be good partners with the Department of Transportation. I thought this morning's meeting was really great, and from being here and seeing this group start up, and to be quite honest, when we first started talking, the reports weren't where they needed to be. There wasn't a lot of transparency, but I think that we're at a point now where the department is putting some great presentations together, really giving us insight, into how the department is moving these projects forward with DBEs, but at the same time, showing us some progress, and then even having conversations about how they can deploy DBEs into the mix. So today, we'd like to hear back from the group and to do some brainstorming about where do we need to go? What do we need to discuss as we move forward with this group and having our quarterly discussions? So I'm going to open up the floor to many of you that are here today, primarily to hear from you, good or bad. What do you want to say? What do you want to focus on in this group moving forward? The floor is open for suggestions about what we can do to better connect you to the department, to better for the department to better serve you. What needs to happen? What do we need to be talking about, as we move forward? We'll continue to have the department give updates. We'll continue to kind of shine a light, on the DBE program. But are there things that, you want to make sure that they get covered this year as we continue to have these discussions? Anybody?
Okay, I think I'll dive in first, Dr. Rube. Thanks so much for the intro and setting the table for discussion. I had to step out a little bit of the last portion of the meeting to take a call, but I think one of the things that we found to be particularly helpful and productive was toward the tail end. It might have been some discussion about this maybe when I stepped out with Bob Gutierrez and his team in the Southeast region. It was a good powwow. It was a regional partnership summit that, we hope to be able to do, on kind of a regular basis, be it quarterly or some other regular interval. But I think the gist of why it was so constructive from the NAMAC perspective was that, and credit to Tandra and Bob, was Bob's recommendation as we were talking about how do we get a chance to really establish long-lasting, relationships that we can see substantive, quantifiable growth from. And I think one of the things that it does is it allowed for us and a sample of some NAMAC members to have face-to-face conversations with some of the, the lieutenants really of the projects, the project leads. And so the boots on the ground, the folks that are okaying and green lighting the different processes that go forth in these heavy highway construction, projects. And the goal of the meeting was, one, to make acquaintance, of course. Number two, to identify what's coming down the pike. And then number three, to explore ways that we could maximize not only capacity building opportunities from a subcontractor perspective, but also to take a closer look at, opportunities for DBEs, particularly ethnic minority DBEs, to become primes on some of the lower risk to mid-risk portions of projects. And, there are a couple of projects that have been procured by some NAMAC members, behind that. And post meeting, there was some other conversation to the point of, well, wow, it was great to get a chance to meet with you. Some of the things that were raised, we didn't know were going on. And so I think that as we move forward in this and we have this upward trajectory of DBE participation that is a bit more equitable as opposed to being lopsided, where one particular group gets a disproportionate portion of the DBE dollars, but it's spread a bit more evenly based, of course, on capabilities of folks being able to do the work. I think that relationship building part of it is really, really key. And I think for ethnic minorities, it's important because sometimes, we're later to the game. If there's been a relationship that's been established for 20 years between a prime and, some other contractor, it might be difficult to get in between that relationship because it had a chance to be established, it's been matured and grown over years. And so if you never get a chance to establish a relationship, when do you ever get a chance to establish one? You don't. So in this particular case, having those one-on-ones with the department's leads, there can be real-time discussion about, challenges faced, maybe hiccups, ghosts in the machine, so to speak. And, more importantly, they can share some of the things that they're able to do as far as capability. Now, I know that, the department might not be able to take a prime by the hand and say, hey, you have to give this contract to this person or that person. We get that. But we also know that human nature is such that people do business with folks that they know, like, and trust. And so having avenues to develop a pathway to the know, like, trust level, I think is really, really important. And from that example, we've had some real-time fruit that has been born. And I think that's something that we can grow on. So I think that one of the spokes in the wheel can be those types of ongoing relationship building activities, processes, convenings, so that we are able to really move forward in a partnership kind of a spirit, as opposed to a us versus them type of vibe.
Yeah, that's some great feedback, Tim. So it sounds like this is a best practice that goes beyond, just us meeting, on a quarterly basis, but it gives NAMAC and it gives the contractors and the consultants an opportunity to meet with the Southeast leadership and jointly work together proactively, towards, looking at what's happening in with the DBEs, by ethnic DBEs versus other DBEs, but also having conversations about how you can be helpful and how they can be helpful to advance in some of these DBEs.
And one last thing I'll say, I see some hands going up, but I think that as we look at the entirety of the state, as other parts of the state, Northeast, what have you, are also having the jobs, I think that this kind of model can be helpful, because I think some of the other feedback that we've received, quite frankly, is when there are encouragements to, hey, there are other activities going on, across the state as well, that are opportunities for DBEs. Some have said, hey, we went out to these other parts in outstate Wisconsin, and the lion's share of love that we get is Southeast. When we go to these other regions, they don't give us as much play. I mean, we're there, we might even have some offices set up, and it, is a chore for us to move operations out there. And for us to do that, put our skin in the game and not come away with contracting opportunities, that can be a bit discouraging. So being able to do this particular model throughout the state, I think, is another aspirational goal that we might want to put in the toolbox as well, so that familiarity is there. So when, a diverse ethnic business shows up, hey, I'm here to put a bid on this, they're not looked at in a certain kind of way, but really given a fair shake at given an opportunity to, bid on projects. And if they can show and prove, get some of the contracts.
Yeah, good stuff, Tim. All right, we got two more people in the queue. First, we're going to go with Joe Davis. What's up, Joe Davis? How come you ain't got your camera on, man, so we can see you? What you got for it? Joe.
You're on mute, Joe.
Turn your mic on, bro.
Am I there?
There you go.
Yes, sir. We can hear you now.
So I'm going to answer Dr. Anthony's question as a good brother. I don't want to be on camera so people don't give a preconceived notion of how much money I make. So I'll just stay off the camera.
Oh, we know about that. Go ahead.
So, and speaking of that issue as far as capital is concerned, we're taking the approach that if DBEs are going to be utilized, they have to have access to capital. I think Tandra and I, when we did the DBE 3.0, we actually had a workshop where we actually had BMO, US Bank, Northwest Side, CDC. They were all at the table, really kind of focusing on sharing cash flow, income balance statement sheets, because if you can't manage your money and you're out there and, even if there's prompt payment, you still have to manage your money as a company. And so what we're doing currently right now is working with financial institutions. In addition to WisDOT, their program or their initiative regarding access to capital, the revolving loan program, and some of the other things, to really talk about if you're gonna get into the game and you're gonna get more contracts, you have to establish more cash flow. You have to have access to capital, like business loans, a credit line, and things of that nature. Bruce will tell you, it's not easy when you have accounts payable coming up and you don't have the type of cash flow in order for you to cover not only your workers, but also your obligations. And so this is what I'm paying attention to over here at CBG as we're working and having these conversations with primes, is because if I'm going to advocate for a DBE to scale up, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find out how much of a contract can you be able to provide? Because sometimes we might end up giving them more than they can actually take on. And then the other thing I would tell you that's related to access to capital is that they have to have a well-trained workforce. That's important. We just hosted 3 tribal chairmen up at the Operating Engineers Training School. And the interesting thing that they indicated is that they need to do more training in order for them to expand the type of subcontractors that they have on the reservations, to come off the reservations and do DOT work. So I would certainly say that, there are training programs that are out here, but they have to be specific to the trade in which that particular DBE is operating in, specifically as it deals with, erosion control, whether it's landscaping, whether it's sewer. They have to have it's not just the regular labor that you have to have out there. You have to have certified folks that are out there who are going to be able to make your company money because of their expertise, but be able to train your workforce as they're working for your company. So those are the 2 things as a folk that came out of the building trades that I kind of really focus on when subcontractors get into the space, because it's important for them to have access to cash flow and a well-trained workforce. Because when an inspector comes out on the job, when WisDOT's inspector comes out on the job, there's certain expectations that they have that you follow the specs. And the reason why people give Bruce kudos is because he knows the spec. He's a student of the industry. And these are the type of DBEs we need to start creating in order for us, so this whole ecosystem can be a lot more profitable for everybody.
Yeah, so that's a great observation, Joe. So it's one thing to get a DBE on the job, but making sure that we can keep the DBE on the job and that they're successful on the job. So access to capital is critical, definitely, as you said, for making sure that you can meet payroll, but you can also meet your other obligations. And the other thing is, making sure that when you get on the job, you can perform on the job, right? And so all that has to do with the quality control. So you get on the job, did you bite or did you take on too much? And I know with the years that I spent at DOT, we've seen those situations, both situations where we have been able to, or where DBEs needed the cash flow. And certainly the DOT has the revolving loan fund that, and I don't know if they still have it, but that was helpful. But then again, sometimes you get on the job and you win it, and performing is a whole nother story. You got to get it done. So definitely we have to stay connected to CBG, and other entities that can provide, that type of assistance to DBE so that we can get performance. And then we can help mentor them about, okay, now that you've got the job, here's what you need to know. And here's what you need to do. So Dwayne's been waiting.
Hey, Doc,
yeah,
can I
yes,
just real quick, Davis Bacon or prevailing wage is so important, because if a DBE is coming into the space and they don't know on federally funded projects, that's what you have to pay your workforce. If they pay them based upon the private sector or non-union area that they're in, they're going to come in cash flow poor. And so as we talk about these things, I mean, this is where it's important for us to be real with folks who are coming into the space and being able to submit price quotes to prime contractors so that you can get utilized. So let's get to work.
Yeah, and again, I think that's a part of the problem, is once you get on the job, staying on the job. But I still think I kind of agree with what Tim said about like looking at expanding the types of ethnic DBEs that we have on projects. So we looked at the data today, and although we could celebrate that we're moving in the right direction with the DBE program overall, but if you look at the demographic breakdown, we got some work to do in some areas. And so we still need to work on getting, a diverse DBE on the job. Now, Dwayne has been waiting patiently. And so, Dwayne, I know you've got a bunch of things to contribute.
Well, I really wanted to talk about what New York Giants are doing to improve their defense. Oh, wait, that's the wrong meeting for this.
What about the Packers? Yeah.
Comedy Central.
Yeah, maybe just reacting a little bit to what Tim and Joe said. And at SPAM, we're pretty blessed. The guy whose picture is sitting right below Bruce right now, Andy Kowski, we've got a mentor-protege agreement with them. They've been helping us along the way, and we've got some other partners that we've worked with long term and stuff, and helpful to grow people, grow the firm, grow the responsibility level. Maybe a question back at Tim and at Joe and others, from a business standpoint, from a labor standpoint, from both, are the training programs that are out there, the opportunity, the on-the-job programs and things, are those things out there for the business leaders of the small firms, for the people working in the trades to kind of grow their responsibility level in their careers, or are there some gaps that we should be talking about?
So let me respond before we bring those guys in, because I will tell you the programs are out there, but it is that there are the resources out there committed to paying for the programs, getting people into the training programs. I had a lot of conversation with Madalena, over the last year about, there's some training programs out there, but we have to make the investment, right? There's a lot of accelerator programs, from Generator to the Urban League programs and other programs that can custom make, as Tim was talking about, and as we were just discussing, that you can build a program to provide the types of training that these DBEs need, but you have to be able to be willing to make the investment. Joe talked about, making sure it's the right training, but go ahead. Maybe you guys jump in, Joe and Tim and others.
So from a training standpoint, Dwayne, you are absolutely right. And they do exist. If you take a look at signatory contractors, they actually have training schools through their locals. I'm part of the UA. And if there's going to be any pipe fitting, we have training schools. We got 3 training schools throughout the state. Everyone knows, everyone may not know about Coloma, but Coloma is 400 acres, operating engineer. So when you get an operator in there, you know that you're going to get the right type of grading, or your crane lift is going to actually be done without any liability to yourself. So these are the type of training schools, when it comes to Davis-Bacon, that we talk to DBEs about having access not only as an owner-operator to training schools, but also bringing workforce into your company and having access to your training school by using the Bureau of Apprenticeship Standards and the statewide apprenticeship program. So, and you guys know this. I mean, you guys been in this regulatory space for a long time. It's up to the business to find out how organically they can grow. And if they want to grow to the point where they're going to be change agents, then they're going to access all of those tools to the trade. But if they want to take shortcuts, I can tell you that they increase the probability that they're going to fail or they're going to have some difficulty. So the training schools are there. I'm over 35 years as a steam fitter, and I don't only use my training to do work, but I also use the philosophy that they taught me in the training school in order for me to solve problems while I'm out there on the job. So, yep, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yes, succinctly, I'll echo both Dr. Rube as well as Joe's commentary. I think that the training is there. There is some room for growth to close some gaps in terms of really lighting the fire of initiative under some businesses. But I think in any particular field or sector, you have the go-getters and the hey, I hope something happens for me. What our focus is on is primarily those that are ready, willing, and able and are looking to get into opportunities. Those that have the initiative, the wherewithal, the go get it, they're going to take advantage of all of the assets that are there for them. As far as NAMEC is concerned, NAMEC Wisconsin is just a chapter of a national organization, which is the largest and oldest ethnic owned trade association for contractors in infrastructure construction, with well over billions of dollars worth of development over the years since its founding in 1969. So training can be a national as well as local level. The idea is that once you have done all of those things, do you have the opportunity to apply your craft and your business acumen? And that's really what we concentrate on. And those that need some assistance, not quite there yet, need a little bit of fire lit, we act as inspirational advocates for them as well. But we are most associated with, most concerned with those that do have the acumen to do the work. Can they get the opportunity? And for example, when you talk about both from the construction side as well as the consultant side, if ethnic firms are getting the contracts, if you got some contracts that are $2 million or 700,000 and some that are 60 or 70,000, we would like to see the ethnic businesses not just be relegated to the $60,000 contracts if they have capacity, to the $2 million contracts. And I think that's kind of what that is. And so to answer your question, even I guess more pointedly, Wayne, and thank you for it. As we move forward today and beyond, we want to be able to do both, maximize contract opportunities, and for those that need to shore up in some training areas, make sure to point them in the direction where that training is available and they can secure that as well, which should position them even more so to be able to take advantage of contracting opportunities.
Okay, thanks, Tim. Hey, so Dwayne, so here's another observation and a challenge to the department. So I have a friend who's an investor, and he says, at some point in these different industries, we have to stop betting on the horse and we have to bet on the jockey. We have to look at, companies, that have potential, and then we have to decide to make an investment. And I'm going to tell you, I would say SPAN is one of those companies that, and not just to keep focusing on Bruce, but SPAN is one of those companies that the department has decided to bet on, right? And it's paying off for the company, and it's paying off for the department. I would say that, even if we don't take on these other programs and things like that, those companies that have been committed to this industry for year in and year out, that they're going to be there. And if you give them an opportunity to perform and build, the things around them so that they can recruit, good employees, and that they can have good performance, we can make it happen. And so we have to be committed, to betting, on some of these upcoming companies, because they want to be in partnership with WisDOT. They want to be in partnership with this industry. And just like primes and other majority-owned companies in this space, these folks have been here. They've gone to school, got the engineering degrees to do construction management, design, and everything. And so if they make the investment, we ought to be betting on them. And so if the department continues to do that, I think that, we will continue to see the types of successes. But, we all as a collective industry has to, continue to encourage the department to kind of make these types of investments, and that it be a part of their portfolio of offerings. All right. So others, what do we need to do? What are observation, best practices that you want to point out, or as we continue to have this discussion over 2024, what would you like to hear? What can you offer? Hands up. Any hands up or anything in the chat? I don't see, for some reason, I can't see the chat.
So let me chime in a little bit here on some things that obviously I've been thinking about, and this goes back to the summit and what we could share with NAMAC. The power of information, Ruben, right?
Yeah.
Just understanding WisDOT's process from the evolution of the project, where it starts. How does it get scoped? How does it get initiated, and then through the design, and then ultimately to construction? And that's what we really tried to share with Tim and his folks, was just that general. And we're going to be doing that at the upcoming conference too. We're going to be sharing that information, because I think as you get to know a little bit more of WisDOT types of projects, why have we shifted in this direction? Well, maybe you need to shift in that direction. And as far as types of projects that may be available, or maybe you could take advantage to. Dwayne had mentioned the design build, right? The Block Deck Bridge, yesterday or the day before, received $1 billion grant, and it's going to be a combination of Minnesota and Wisconsin. And so then you ask yourself, well, what is design build, and who understands all that? Well, I'll tell you what, that young man, Andy Kowski's firm, has done design builds throughout the nation, and would have that information. Just so having that linkage, to be able to call Andy and say, hey, what is all this all about, and stuff like that. I don't know. It's information, right? And that's more the better you'll be able to pivot, I guess. That's kind of in a nutshell. Thank you.
No, that's great information, Bob. There's some new things coming along where dollars will be tied to it. And if you don't understand, how something like design build plays out, how the contracting, how the partnering goes on design build, you're going to be on the sideline looking in. And so I'm gonna ask Andy, what can we expect, from design build, and how would that impact, partnering and contracting? It's a different model than what we're used to having, and for a long time the industry, kind of blocked it out. But design build is here, and what does that mean for partnerships?
Yeah, I mean, well, the first thing is as a designer, you're working for a contractor, so some of the marketing, pre-selling of your firm and your capabilities, that needs to pivot to the contracting industry. And in general, the timelines on a design build contract, if you're doing design, are compressed compared to traditional design bid build. So that's something that we as an industry would have to be prepared for, and DBE firms. Now on the construction inspection side, that would be a contract that would be with the state and overseeing the actual construction of a design build project. Although there are some wrinkles working with a design build contractor that I think a DBE firm going into that should be aware of. We're going through it right now. We're the construction inspectors on the Lone Rock Bridge in the Southwest region. That's the design build project for a bridge over the Wisconsin River. And fortunately for us, some of that national design build experience has helped us and helped the department navigate through the inspection on that. So like Bob said, moving forward, we'd be happy to partner with the DBE consulting and contracting community share what we've been through nationally, and maybe share some lessons learned on a Lone Rock Bridge. Happy to do that. But it is a little bit different. But at the end of the day, if you're a good firm, you've got good people. I firmly believe that industry here in Wisconsin can make the adjustments needed to successfully deliver these projects.
That's wonderful. So anybody on here on this call today, would you have a question for Andy, or would you like to make a contribution to this conversation about design build and how you partner under this new change that may be coming, or not may be coming, but that is a part of the mix now?
Yeah, I have a question for Andy. And for those that would like, well, Rosalind, is that your hand?
Yeah, I had it up for a minute. I just wanted
Oh,
to ask
sorry.
Andy if he was part of the workshop for ACEC coming up at the summit. If he was on that panel. ACEC is having a yes or no? You don't know?
Is that the Transportation Improvement Conference in early March?
No. It's the DBE Summit. We have an ACEC workshop on day 2. So I'm assuming you're not a part of that.
No, I will be. I'll be at the conference, but haven't been invited to the summit yet. But
I
happy
just thought
to
you
help
were
out
part-
as needed with that.
Okay.
Excellent. As it relates to just relationship building, and as you all are, kind of scouting out those who you, would be interested in doing, work with, what would you say are the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s of those that are trying to get into the mix and to meet the U's of the world to be able to establish and grow those relationships? What would be the top, 2 or 3 things you would recommend for DBEs to do to go down that path?
Yeah, well, you talking about just in general or design build, Tim?
In general first, and then design build, since it has this extra wrinkle that's different than the norm.
Yeah, well, for design build, going to the WTBA conferences, I think would be helpful. I mean, that's the best way to build contractor relationships. And the one that was done last week is a great example where a DB firm can go and meet contractors. I don't think they do any speed networking at the WTBA events, but I know the DB conference, obviously, we do that. We'll be doing that in late February. And not all the, for design build, not all the contractors in the state would are going to go and prime a design build project. Probably some of the larger firms like a Michaels, a Hoffman, Kramer. Those are the kind of companies that will go lead a design build project. At least the larger ones, which I'm a little bit more familiar with compared to a smaller design build project. So it's just leveraging those WTBA events. Perhaps we could talk on the side for the annual Golden Shovels Award of how to maybe distinguish which contractors are interested and might be involved in design build in the future, and make sure that the DBE firms are aware of which firms those are. I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
And there's also one last thing. Probably the best national organization to get involved with design build is called the Design Build Institute of America, and they're the national organization. They could probably give some really, really good examples of what other states have done to make sure that DBE firms are included in design build projects, not only for working for the contractor and design, but doing construction inspection out in the field and representing the owner.
So that's really important, Andy, right? Each of the design build projects have their own selection matrix, right? And understanding what that's going to be, it's not. It ultimately it's a lot of it pertains to schedule, costs, and everything else. But there could be other metrics included within each different design build project, especially $1 billion projects that's coming from the federal government now. Now is the time to be talking to to people that are making up this metric for the selection of the team, the design build team. So thank you.
So Bob, we ought to be thinking about ways that we can kind of get some of those folks in front of this group, and figure out how we can build it in there. I was involved in a design build project in Virginia, and it's a whole different process. And so I think you guys are giving folks the right advice about, upfront, making sure that you understand, how you can be a part of those teams. And so as much as we all can learn together about that, that will be good. So I'm going to move us from the design build discussion because the hands are going up like crazy. First, we got Bruce Spann. Not Bruce Spann, we got Brian Mitchell coming up first. Then we got Kathleen Panic and then Bruce Spann. But go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I guess I was going to share. I've worked several design build projects in my days as a contractor, and one of the problems always is picking a team and working with a team and multiple teams, and putting all one's eggs in one basket, and trust issues. And it's a very different creature for contractors, very different for subcontractors. In some ways, design build is a mechanism to shift risk down to subcontractors from the owner. And it requires a great deal of thought and a great deal of effort to engage in it as a sub. And I hope we don't pass that without talking about that. So.
Thanks, Brian. So we have 3 minutes left. So Bruce, you got a minute and a half, and Kathleen, you got a minute and a half. So go ahead, Bruce.
Okay, well, I was just going to chime in as well that Andy said that contractors take the lead, and he kind of said that real softly because they're really running the show, and you really, as a DBE subconsultant on a design team, you have to have people that are definitely ready. They have to be at a moment's notice. They have to meet the requirements of that project. Once it gets to 30%, that contractor's out there and they're ready to start building, and you better keep up. I think as well, I know from my experience traveling also to Virginia, the consultants, there's also upfront costs. So again, we talked about cash flow. You may not get paid for several months working on a project like that. The Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel project, which is led by Drugados, and there was the Temple Chose project also led by Drugados. They did the Big Bertha out in Washington. Those big companies, they expect a lot, and they expect it yesterday, and we have to be careful about it. If you really want to get into design build, you need to have committed staff they're dedicated to design build, because it's going to be a challenge otherwise.
Thank you, Bruce. And Kathleen, it's on you now. Sorry, I should have brought you in first before Bruce, the way the numbers look, but I just kind of overlooked that.
That's okay. This is a very basic comment. A little bit, Tim, to your point of kind of what DBs can do generally speaking. Be responsive, be engaged. And that is a comment that I do hear from prime contractors across the state. I do speak to the prime contractors in the context of GFE. And that is, a comment and feedback that does come my way. It's like, hey, we send out all of these solicitations and we don't even receive a response back. So even if you're not able to do that particular project, just being responsive back to the prime to be like, hey, not this one, but definitely keep me in the mix, or something along those lines.
Got it. Thank you.
That's great. So we've got about a minute left of our discussion before we whisk back into the general group. And so the floor is open for any of you to add something about what we ought to be focusing on going forward, or if there's a best practice or even a challenge that you want to bring up. Anybody?
So Ruben, I'm gonna chime in real quick. If that particular prime contractor wins that particular bid and they're signatory to WTBA and they have a contractual agreement with the labor union, then that DBE has a decision to make. Because within that contract with the prime, they have to use signatory DBEs. So it's important for us to understand that fundamental issue when it comes to subcontracting. And if that particular prime contractor has a signatory agreement with the labor union. I've seen it happen. I've seen the laborers, and I've seen a lot of other folks show up on jobs, and it can certainly impact the performance of a DBE.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my last, I guess, words of wisdom.
All right, Bob Gutierrez, how do you feel, about this process? We've been doing this for several years now, and having an opportunity kind of to build this vehicle so that the department can kind of reach out, get feedback back from DBs, but also share. How you feeling about the process?
Yeah, good. I do. I think, you asked about what maybe this year we could.
In report mode. Hi, John.
Hey, Maggie.
All right, I think I'm good. Trying to make sure both groups are being recorded.
Thank you, Christina. Hi, Lori. Hi, Sabrina.
Hello.
And I can share in the meanwhile. Goals document. Just giving a few more minutes in case anyone else is jumping in. So I think we can go ahead and begin. Probably nobody else from that group that will be coming into our labor meeting. So what I am sharing here is our goals document that we've been working on since the stakeholder advisory meeting began, or since I was hired on with DOT, I'll honestly say, but we have been working off of this goals document the last few meetings. In the last meeting that we had, I went through and I made updates within our group, but I made sure to add all of our specific updates and notes as far as objectives or goals that had been met. So as we can see for the find and recruit good talent, I've listed the different initiatives that have been being used to find and recruit good talent. We most definitely can add to these team responsibilities if there are any more updates or anything that wants to be added to there, or anyone has to add to it. We've worked at improving the work culture within the industry by communicating with the contractors, by communicating with large contractors and doing a lot more outreach with it at different events. I've been doing a lot of presentations, attending career fairs, things of that nature to try to strengthen the work culture within the industry. There was also the rebranding of the HCST program, which I mentioned as far as HCST graduates during the labor data report. We've definitely been getting a lot more graduates into the field. Thank you so much to our providers, both Lori and John, that are on with us today. And we are just helping to get them into the field and increase their work hours. Under the category of attract young and diverse workers into the industry, what I did was list the videos that I worked with DTSD to roll out in regards to the HCST program. DTSD worked with our providers as well. They went out into the field, took a lot of pictures, put together some wonderful videos that have been uploaded on YouTube to the DOT WisDOT playlist, and I've added those. And I will also send this document out again so that everyone can check those videos out when they have some time. We've been submitting them. They are on a specific timeline as far as rollout, and they have been rolled out on all social media platforms as well as YouTube. We've also worked to maximize the opportunities to introduce HCST graduates to contractors through networking events. One event that is coming up that is not listed here is the DBE. Oh, it is listed. My apologies. The DBE Annual Workshop and Networking Summit. That's one that's coming up. We've been working hand in hand to get a PowerPoint presentation ready for that. We'll be focusing on networking with our HCST graduates, and we will roll from our breakout session at that conference. We will roll right into the networking with the graduates and the contractors that are in attendance. That's coming up. We're all looking forward to that and working very hard on it. One of the next goals, number 5, which was to educate employers on how to attract and retain diverse workers in a tight labor market. We do have a couple of initiatives or goals that have been met by, or goals that were listed, not yet met, my apologies, by the possibility of introducing leading contractors such as Wallback into holding workshops for other contractors. So that's something that we're in discussion with. The contractors that are that have strong standing were the ones that we were thinking of considering having run some workshops to do some trainings for other contractors. And we're also looking into having some workshops to train contractors held by WisDOT. We do have a contractor training that is coming up, I believe, February. I will make sure that I get the correct date for that, but we will be having a contractor training, and we'll be going over our OJT training program, our OJT program, as well as our HCST training program, and the updates to ASP1. Out of the way here. There are 2 more categories here or one category here, which was to educate career planners and the workforce development system staff on the industry and the workforce needs. We do not have any initiatives that are listed yet there. If anyone has any ideas on how we could educate career planners as well as the workforce staff. We are working, I will add an update to this as far as the workforce staff. We did have a workforce staff training in October of 2023. I will list the notes from that training as well as additional updates. We have collected and shared success stories. And again, I listed the links for the YouTube stories. Those are HCST graduate success stories. Those who are working in the industry currently. Now, when we move down to our second portion of goals, we do not have as many goals listed in this area. So there are some areas that if anyone has any ideas on team responsibilities or initiatives, there is the identify the CPA program providers that focus on construction, identifying strategies to support and retain HCST participants, identify the solutions to the challenges and barriers for those interested in careers in the industry, explore options to provide stipends to trainees while in training and upon successful completion of the program. I will be adding in additional updates to these categories because we are working on the rollout of a HCWP pilot, which is a pilot training course that will focus on the needs assessment recommendations that the Highway Construction Workforce Partnership has put together. And it'll look at a more consistent HCST training program to be utilized overall amongst our providers. And we're hoping that within that pilot, we're able to include and introduce some stipends and additional resources to help the trainees while completing the HCST program and after successfully completing the program. For the objective of the industry comes together to identify solutions to improve retention of non-traditional workers. We did have an idea of contacting Empower Her. That's a model that has been launched focusing on, I believe, childcare resources for female employees within the industry. So we're looking on gaining more information on Empower Her. So in the area of providing information to workers about the DBE program. Information is provided to workers about the DBE program. It is provided to the workers through not only the contractors that utilize or that work within the DBE industry, as well as by the HCST providers. My apologies. And also to identify the career pathways that apprentices and other workers can access that lead to becoming DBE certified business owners. We will be doing a lot of discussion, maybe not a lot, but we will be discussing the pathways that apprentices and other workers can access during the DBE annual summit and networking event. That is the end of our goals document. I was hoping that maybe we could discuss suggestions on our next steps going forward with our labor breakout. If anyone has any suggestions, I can most definitely put together a plan, maybe shorten our goals document. I'm not exactly positive. Does anyone have any ideas?
Can you repeat the question?
Just to find out if anyone has any ideas on the next steps going forward. I will most definitely discuss it with Tandra due to her taking over for Madalena in regards to this advisory committee.
Do we have a priority of our goals?
We have not prioritized besides based off of the rank that they were listed in. For the order
okay. Just wondering, like, if we had to prioritize, then maybe we could like attack one at a time, or
that's a good idea.
Put some deadlines or some dates on like when we want to do this and who can really help us get to where we need to be to reach the goal.
I think that is a great idea. So
I think we've kind of, as listening into this, we've just kind of went over the goals and
correct.
Need to make some action on the goals or on the list.
I definitely agree. I do think that is a wonderful idea, Lori. A very smart idea. We need to make some steps going forward. So I'm just making some notes here, is to prioritize our goals. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe you can tell me, Christina, if you're listening, and can you give me a time for our breakout session? Time count?
It is, we have till 11:45.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? How about we work through maybe picking some goals to prioritize right now? Does that sound okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm in agreement.
Okay. So goal number 1, which was the increased labor force hiring and workforce diversity on WisDOT projects. I'll quickly go over all of the goals and then we can pick which we should prioritize. And if you guys notice, there are main goals, but then there are also subcategories within the goals. So we can also prioritize the goals and prioritize the subcategories or the sub-initiatives.
Or maybe picking one thing out of each category to go after.
That's a good idea as well. Let me scan through quickly. I believe we have.
I mean, it's hard. I know there's a lot on there, so it's hard to.
But that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. I believe there are four goals in total, but I just want to scan through to be sure. Goal number 2, to improve support of certified pre-apprenticeship programs. Goal 3 is to improve childcare support for workers. Oh, my apologies.
Yeah, there was goal 4.
Thank you.
Screwed up.
Sorry about that. And goal 4, to increase the opportunities for workers interested in acquiring knowledge on how to become an entrepreneur or certified DBE. So I go back to goal 1, we can pick one of these initiatives. I do think that we have a lot of the team responsibilities met as far as the find and recruit good talent. So I don't know, do you guys think that we should prioritize one that does not have as many team responsibilities or initiatives already met, or should we just stick with the ones that we have done a lot of footwork in that area? Any suggestions?
Well, I'm rereading the 4 goals.
Me
And
too.
of course, it's always easiest to pick the one that you've had the most success with. But
So is there some of it? Can we identify what's done too then?
yeah, that might be great too.
We can. You know what? I'm going to open this here right now. I want to share the document directly in the chat so that you guys can also be looking at it, if that makes it easier.
That'd make it way easier.
Okay. Bear with me, please. It's kind of weird here. For whatever reason, I'm struggling to be able to share this document into the chat, and I don't understand why. It normally... You know what? I will send us each an email. There's only so many of us on our breakout group. That'll work. Let's see here. Sending that right now. Okay. Okay. Now, my apologies. Before I began sending that, what was that you had? Was it you who said something, John, or Lori? Did you say you were reading through it?
It was not me.
Okay.
I had said that I was looking at the 4 goals, and then you commented that we had accomplished quite a few items, and then I think Lori maybe said, could we identify what we have accomplished so we can see what we're lacking? And then you said, okay, I'll send you guys the stuff, and you were sending the stuff.
Thank you. You're almost like a note taker right now.
Which is crazy because I'm super multitasking. So how I remember that and try to read this man's email, I don't know.
You're doing good. So of goal number 1, to increase the labor force hiring and workforce diversity on WisDOT projects. The objective that we have done the most footwork on is to find and recruit good talent. No problem, bless you.
Thank you.
We worked with the Highway Construction Workforce Partnership, and that is the group that we are creating the pilot, the training pilot. So that actually is addressing a lot of the goals overall in one, or we'll have specific portions of it that'll be addressing all of the goals. We also had some ideas of reaching out to houses of worship. I have reached out to a few, and basically just to get information in regards to the HCST program. Connecting with supportive service programs, UMOS, amongst others. I have not reached out to any of the supportive service programs yet, just because I wanted to find out what supportive services would be included in the pilot. They may have the same ideas as far as reaching out to those types of programs or resource programs, but Employed Milwaukee and the workforce boards of Southeast Wisconsin pretty much do the same thing as far as resources, so they may have a lot of their own inside or internal support services programs to offer. We'd also had we also had an idea of reaching out to the labor union representatives to get HCST information over to them. I do know that a lot of our providers have strong ties and connections to a lot of the union representatives and are able to provide information in regards to the HCST program, training program that prepares our workforce workers. They also hold their own contractor meet and greets and networking events, of which I've attended with both providers. So we appreciate that. And those are definitely some good steps forward to meeting those goals, or that goal, through those initiatives.
I do see on the other side have we done anything with the military or veteran services? Could it be as simple as inviting them to our, reaching out to some of those local VFWs in the area and sending them our information on some of our fairs and stuff?
I think that'd be a great idea.
I mean, and then I don't know, with the workers with disabilities or whatever, I don't know what. I mean, that would kind of be on something on what they would qualify and where they would be able to work type of thing would have to be defined.
Okay. Disabilities. My apologies, Lori. So you were saying that in order to address number 6, tap in with workers with disabilities and partner with the DWD Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. Were you saying that that was something that we would have to find out what levels of work they would be able to handle, or like whether or not they are able to work within the scope of road construction? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know like where in the DOT you could fit them in. I mean, and that's depending on disability as well. I mean, you have to kind of define disability too with that. There's so many variables there.
Okay.
Because you could have somebody who's disabled because they have a prosthetic, and they could probably work just fine somewhere, you know, in any part.
Yes.
I mean, it's depending on the capabilities. So that's kind of a tough one and a broad one that.
Yeah, and I definitely do. I do have the bandwidth to reach out to DWD and find out more information within those regards. So I will make sure I do reach out.
So possibly getting some of that connection with the DVR might be beneficial. They could give us some general ideas of the range of individuals who are receiving DVR services. You could also go to individual programs in the communities that provide those services.
Okay. I'm sure you guys can tell spell check is my very best friend. I'm not ashamed at all. Especially when you're moving so fast here. Okay. I think those are all good ideas. We did kind of address tap into the reentry population and partner with the Department of Corrections. And I remember when I spoke to Mike about that, him telling me that that's kind of a, he didn't necessarily say tricky area, but kind of.
It is slightly.
Okay.
It can be a sticky wicket.
It is an option though, that it's worth exploring. And once we create those connections, it might help just to be able to spread the word and get information out about road construction as an option for employment, as well as the training programs. Most people just don't know that they are even an option.
Yes, I agree as well. And so I can ask you guys both as providers, John and Lori, are there any specific eligibility or requirement restrictions that people who are attempting reentry into the population are there specific restrictions that they would have due to, that would keep them from being able to?
For some job projects. And this is where it's helpful when we have that connection with contractors, so we know that. One of the most common restriction is security. If the person has a felony regarding certain things, drugs, weapons, any kind of bodily assault, they are restricted from working on projects that is open to the public. So being around children, hospitals, airports, all those things can restrict.
Okay,
Very well said.
And
thank
I'm
you.
guessing many don't have driver's license.
Driver's license is a big thing for the
Yeah,
program, and as well as diploma. Can you guys correct me if I'm wrong?
so driver's license and diploma would be more in the category of a barrier
Right.
to
The
training.
training.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Not
for
really a
most of us,
restriction.
yeah, not a restriction, because for most of us, having a valid Wisconsin state driver's license and high school diploma is a prerequisite for training. So
Okay.
at least for, I'm speaking for WRTV success. Those are the two minor enrollment things, you need to have. You don't have to have experience, but you do gotta have a license and you gotta have a high school diploma. And the rationale is because we're simultaneously trying to help you apply with a related trade union, and that's, the trade's minimal requirements, although the laborers is pretty lenient, but okay, anyway. So, sorry.
One other issue that I see as a restriction is the person's PO. The PO has a lot of control over where they allow this person to travel.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So we might get them a really great job with a prime contractor, but their PO won't let them leave the city limits. And that ends up being really difficult for the person to be able to maintain the job.
Okay.
Yes, I agree 100%. If this, I'm sorry, and now I'm on point. If the conversation is specific to returning citizens, yes, that having that buy-in and connection from the parole and or probation agent
It's huge.
is huge, and sometimes it could be not so much within their control. There have been a few people who had some serious, I mean, if they had OWI, DWI type, some things, driving is kind of tricky for them, period. And then leaving their region, especially like registered sex offenders, like they got to get permission, like get off the block more or less. So, yeah, I think if we wanted to develop a relationship,
Okay.
sorry, y'all, that would be
No,
great.
that's okay.
Yeah, we would need to build that relationship and educate in order to get that buy-in and have the entire correction system see a value in allowing these individuals to find very sustainable employment in road construction. It's not the norm. POs are not used to it. They want something in their head. They've been told that a person to be successful needs to have this job that's year round, that works, 8 until 5. And they just don't understand that there are other options out there.
In the off season.
Just even
or all together, I
season.
understand.
Yep, all together. I've talked with a lot of POs that won't allow an individual to get a job, even if it's doing, like residential vertical construction where it's pretty set hours, because it's more seasonal and they're concerned what's the person going to do for finances during those off season. And on the flip side, they don't like a road construction because there's too much overtime and the person's working too many hours during one part of the year and then they're laid off. That makes POs uncomfortable.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Sometimes, sorry, I know. I have my own little issues with that stuff, but I'm like, that might be just a fit for them.
Yeah.
Welcome to our world.
Yeah,
Because it's out of the norm, you know, it's not
Yeah,
what they're used to. And to think that something can be successful when you're not familiar with it is really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I definitely understand that.
I mean,
One of
out of
the
the norm might just be the fit for some of the
Yeah.
one of the
people.
yeah, I just wanted, this is Sabrina. I just, you know, I specialize in this area of marginalized, underserved, and overlooked. And as I talk to people, they are aware of these barriers, yet they're not willing to change. And then our people are just locked in this system. They want better, but these rules that are arbitrary keep them from doing that. What can we, is there something we can do? What, because these parole officers absolutely know and understand. They absolutely do. You know, I'm looking, I see Big Step is on here. I know he's talked to these people, and I don't even know them.
Yes.
But, you know, we're on this call, and we know that the labor component, the minority participation for some of these federally directed funds are there. We know the people are there, and these rules are blocking folks from getting better in their lives, but also impacting our ability to be compliant for some of the requirements for this. And so I don't know what we can do, but I'm just at my wit's end, and I know you guys are too. And we're needlessly losing people that are looking to us to provide hope and a pathway.
I definitely understand that.
And so I was trying to and thank you so much. That was so well said, Sabrina.
Very enlightening.
Well, and I was gonna say it, and then I said I wasn't gonna say it, and then when she said it, she has inspired me to just say that we may want to try to have people at a high level talk to people at a high level. And what I mean by that is we work very closely with Tom Durgam. He's the reentry employment coordinator here in Southeast, right? And he's trying to get the people, when they come out, jobs everywhere, anywhere in the factory, in road construction. He refers them to the HCST program. He's totally bought in. But the point we're making here about how sometimes PO officers, whether it's bias or whatever, maybe there are rules in place. I think that if DOC could understand and adopt HCST and see it as a vehicle to get returning citizens gainfully employed, then from a top-down scenario, that would help mitigate some of those systemic barriers that pops up as we practitioners try to help these individuals get into family supporting careers. So I hated to take it to the next level, but I'm always trying to keep it real. And just meeting with POs is great, but you got to get to the decision makers and have them put an edict that says this is our chosen, one of our means of getting people employed, and then everybody's sold in or bought in, and then it'll go a lot smoother. So I'm just throwing that out there.
You're absolutely right, John. In Southwest, we thought we were making some progress. DOT was brought in to be part of the discussion with the Department of Corrections, out of the Oregon Correctional Institute and Thompson, was it Thompson something? I had actually taught classes at the Oregon Correctional. We really thought this was going to be a way of helping individuals make that transition once they were released. But the DOC didn't see a value because of the smaller class sizes, the smaller number of people. It didn't give as much of a big bang effect as carting busloads of people to Madison College. So they went with Madison College and they funded that because they can take 50, 60 individuals over there and have them learn different career choices HCST was just too small. So I think you're right. If we can talk to the higher ups and have individuals like the big guys talk to the big guys, it might do something, because something has to change. I've seen too many people whose lives have been totally interrupted when they've been in class and they haven't even been able to finish because their PO got an anonymous call saying that this person was seen doing XYZ, and now they're being pulled back in to finish their sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no way that these individuals can fight. It's just literally it can be an anonymous call and this person's life is totally upheaved. So I totally support the big bosses and the big bosses talking, and maybe something will change.
Maybe we could just say, oh, we're getting kicked out. I was gonna say, have a round table discussion for those leaders and then have action items come out of that.
That would be tremendous.
I'm definitely listening and taking the best notes possible, because just like as you were saying, what you were saying, Ms. Robbins, before rolling into both John and Lori, I mean, who has more big wigs than the state of Wisconsin? Then, you know,
right.
I'm going to start passing this stuff along to people. I don't know, if one of the first things we want to do is focus on this goal number 1 that we're working on, these ideas that I put in red, and maybe make that one of the strong points as far as our focus. Recruiting good individuals with a focus on drawing in the Department of Corrections programs, as well as the DBR and individual with disabilities programs.
Yeah, along with employers, right? So we do a great job of training, but it doesn't go anywhere if they don't have a job waiting at the end with livable wages. The jobs with livable wages.
Right. Okay.
And you can loop me in on the
Rooms
deal.
are closing now.
Thank you, Christina.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send out another one of these documents with all of our updates.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Progress with, and again, for me, it's information. Oh, there we go. I think we went back to the whole group, right, Ruben?
Oh,
Are we all back?
Finish your thought
we
there,
got
Bob.
this back,
Finish your
yeah.
thought.
Teleported.
Thank you. Great discussion.
So yeah, finishing my thought, I think for our group, it's information and solidifying maybe some things in reference to the DOT process, getting people linkages to boots on the ground like we had talked about, and then another step, pivoting to this new relationship on possibilities in the DBE. Design build process and stuff like that, and getting some upfront information. So not only is it are you all on the infancy side of it, so it's the state of Wisconsin. So it's a good time to join that club.
Thank you, Bob.
Yep.
We're back.
All right, David,
Is the whole group back?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So let's do a recap of each of the subcommittee meetings. For the labor subcommittee, Maggie, is someone there going to be a spokesperson? Is that going to be you?
Yes, I will.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. What we did in our breakout group was go over our goals document that we have been compiling with information and updating of the goals. I can't actually share that document right now. just to show you guys what we worked on. So what we've decided, we have been doing we've been dealing with this goals document since early 2023, and we have made sure to address, or at least list the initiatives that we have used to address the goals listed. In this breakout session, we decided to pick a goal, prioritize that goal, and focus on doing our best to meet the objectives of that goal. So what we did was we prioritized the find and recruit good talent. And we started the notes that are listed above is from previous discussions. Our highway construction workforce partnership is already in the process of creating a training pilot that'll work to do a more concise and consistent training of the HCST program. We'll be reaching out to, I already have, but we'll also be doing some more outreach to houses of worship to get information in regards to the HCST training program into their hands. Connecting with supportive service programs, that is a little bit on the back burner while we push our pilot training forward, because the programs that we're using for our pilot, or the programs that have put together our pilot, is Employ Milwaukee and the workforce boards of Wisconsin. They do have a lot of supportive services as well as resources. So I'm going to find out what is included in that pilot before reaching into other supportive services. We're working on building our communication with contractors, as well as offering trainings for the contractors on the HCST program and on networking with the graduates of the HCST program. What we focused on more so today was linking with the military veteran service organizations by reaching out to the organization and providing HCST information, as well as contact information for our providers. Tapping into the reentry population and partnering with the Department of Corrections. Majority of our discussion focused around how we can build a better relationship with the Department of Corrections as far as individuals that are reentering into the population, and find out if we cannot provide more understanding on the benefit and the value of the HCST program and what it can provide for individuals that are attempting to re-entry into our population. We did discuss a lot of the barriers and restrictions that keep individuals from being able to participate in a lot of our HCST training, such as having your GED or your high school diploma or a valid driver's license. Those are things that are very important. We also discussed the restrictions and issues as far as the road construction industry not being a year-round at all times. It's not a year-round source of employment, and sometimes Department of Corrections and parole officers are not keen on jobs that do not offer employment year-round. So we want to do our best to strengthen our communication and develop a relationship within the Department of Corrections, see what we can pull out of that area, and also do our best to present this information to the state or DOT and state bigwigs, our higher ups, be able to see what we can do to drive that relationship with the Department of Corrections.
Great. Thank you, Maggie. Anything else, Maggie?
You're welcome. No, unless anybody else from our breakout group would like to share anything that they feel is important that I missed.
I did want to add an idea that came up right at the end is in terms of this increased awareness, maybe have a roundtable specifically about returning citizens and the programs that would include not only DOT, relevant organizations, but employers as well, so that we're not just offering training and there's not a job with livable wages at the end of that time that would really keep them from going back or being discouraged and not being able to fulfill a larger community goal and personal aspirations.
Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you.
Can I just
debated
add one other
myself.
thing to that, Maggie?
Yes.
Back when I was working at Employment Milwaukee, previously as public relations and brand manager, there was a simulation that was done from this outfit out of Madison. There's a guy named Wilbur Holloway who handles that. He's the reentry director for Employment Milwaukee. And the exercise is you bring in different stakeholders that will be working with reentry individuals, but they do a simulation of a day in the life of someone that just recently was released and the different challenges that are there that we might not have been hip to unless we have had, a similar type of experience. I think that would be another thing that could be considered along with the whole roundtable piece. If at that same roundtable discussion, there's this simulation piece where you become a person that's, on paper and the different things about requirements of having to get housing, a job, transportation. It's a real eye opener to see what folks go through that, just some harassment, you know what I mean? And some things that I think are really, really helpful for those that are in positions to help. It's a way to give insight into as well as develop some empathy, because there are a couple of other challenges that folks that are re-entering face that, we might not have been hip to, but for said simulation or have had a previous experience similar. So that's another thought that you might want to give consideration to in the future.
That's a great idea. Do you mind if I contact you for any additional information that you may have in regards to Wilbur Holloway? I can also reach out to Shaitania from Employment Milwaukee as well.
Yeah. Either way is cool. However you want to play it is cool with me.
Thank you. Thank you very
welcome.
much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Maggie. Dr. Anthony Rubin.
Yes, sir, Dave.
Rubin, Anthony,
Hey,
excuse me.
Yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to kind of summarize it kind of briefly. So in our meeting, we really kind of wanted to talk about, what we need to be focusing on in 2024. And then the conversation turned into, looking at some of the things that were best practices that, folks had experienced. So let me share. So first, there was a discussion about the regional partnership that NAMAC, has kind of established with the Southeast region and their leaders there. So Bob has made the leaders available to NAMAC to talk about issues to help, NAMAC contractors understand the process, but also to think about like how you maximize opportunities. But then NAMAC is also, kind of driven a focus on, like, don't forget about how you look at the ethnic minorities in this whole process. So overall, progress is being made with DBEs, but take that deeper look and do that comparative analysis and look at the DBE distribution. There's also a combination about access to capital. And so as we look at growing the DBEs, we really need to think about, making sure that DBEs have access to the capital so that they can actually make payroll, they can purchase the things that they need to have, on the job. And so how do we make that a priority so that when DBEs get on the job, they've got the cash flow and access to capital to stay on the job, but also that they have the ability to deliver high quality, because when you get on the job, those contractors and consultants are going to be expecting you to deliver high quality. We talked about, are there training programs, out there for these DBEs to really kind of help them be ready, willing, and able to participate, as well. There's a large discussion about the $1 billion that's coming down the pike in design build. And one of the things that was emphasized is that how the design build consulting and contracting happens is not only new to the DBEs, but kind of new to the Wisconsin contracting and consulting industries. And in fact, we need to, kind of partner with Andy Kowski and other folks and bring resources, to this group to talk about, how DBEs can position themselves to partner and be ready for design build. And then, and one of the last comments that was made is that there's encouragement that DBEs be more engaged in responding when contractors or consultants reach out for partnerships, because there's this thing where when contractors do send opportunities that they don't hear back from DBEs, even if it's not a good fit for you, just respond back and say, I'm not interested. So overall, it was, again, a conversation about, how we need to move forward, how we can keep working together, and really acknowledging that this DBE stakeholder group has been a place, where we can have these transparent conversations, and both it's good for the DOT, it's good for the industry, and it's good for NAMAC. So we're encouraged about continuing to, have good and honest discussions among ourselves. Anybody from the group want to add anything? I kind of tried to condense it, to like the highlights.
Excellent summary, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anthony. Any other comments before we break from anybody? Okay, I don't see anybody. Christina, do you know when, have we scheduled our next quarterly meeting yet? Do you know?
It is the the fourth Thursday of every month. It should be on, let me get if I can open up the meeting here. The next one is April 25th.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, with that, we're right at noon, so have a good rest of the day.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.